Let's move to this story then. Back to the Beckhams, officially at war. Their son Brooklyn has directed a tirade of accusations towards British media darling couple David and Victoria. A rift over his marriage to Nicola Peltz has become a gaping chasm as the Beckhams have allegedly brided Brooklyn, ruined his wedding and alienated Nicola to keep their media image squeaky clean. Well, normally I wouldn't be interested in a story like this, but actually there's so much to this. Let's be with Ian Bloom, media law consultant. Good afternoon, Ian.
Good afternoon, Ian.
Nice to have you with us. I'm pretty sure, like you probably don't rush out for the showbiz pages on a daily basis. But this one is very interesting because what it got me thinking was, is there any potential litigation around this? Could we see mother and father suing their son for some kind of defamation? Because I would certainly suggest that within this there are objectively and demonstrably some fairly defamatory comments about two very well-known people.
Well, let me start, and I will deal with your question in as much detail as you'll allow me, but let me start with, you referenced showbiz. Let me start with some showbiz.
Yeah.
And it's Oscar Wilde, of course, 1893 play, A Woman of No Substance.
Mm-hmm.
This in the play. Children begin by loving their parents. After a time, they judge them. Rarely, if ever, do they forgive them. That's the scene we're in now.
That's very powerful stuff, isn't it?
There's another proverb, of course, much shorter, much older. Children should be seen and not heard. But we'll come back to that, perhaps.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Let's deal with defamation.
Yeah.
Defamation, of course, as you know, being in journalism or more or less all your life, defamation is really about protecting reputation. And there's elements of defamation that have got that are sequential. The first point is there's got to be a false statement that's been made as a statement of fact. Do we have that here? Possibly. Mm-hmm. Second point is there's no ambiguity about who it's referring to. And here, of course, it's Brooklyn's talking about his mum and dad.
Yeah.
Third point is there's got to have been publication. And of course, there's been publication of this rant on Instagram and in the papers today. And finally, it must be serious. The Defamation Act of about 2013 effectively stopped trivial claims. So they're the elements that are defences to that. And the first of them is what was said was true. Now, if it's true, there's no libel, there's no defamation.
Of course.
Is it an honest opinion? We can leave alone, I think, the privilege and that sort of thing. But what we're talking about is what was said as perhaps statements of fact by Brooklyn. Did he honestly believe them? Well, I think he must have done to have put them out there. So is it possible that his mum and dad can sue him because they think they've been libelled? Well, there's lots of difficulties. The first is jurisdiction. As far as I'm aware, Brooklyn and his wife, Nicola, I think, are based in Florida, conveniently where Donald Trump has sued the BBC.
Yes.
Where there's much tougher libel laws, so you can say a lot more freely what you want without being sued. Is the jurisdiction the USA or is it here? That's the first issue. The second is we're concerned with reputation. To what extent, if at all, has what Brooklyn has posted damaged the reputation of his mum and dad? Or is it perhaps a self-inflicted wound? He's only damaged himself and his wife. Have they suffered economic loss by this posting? I'd suggest probably not.
I mean, they might argue, I suppose, that does credibility in this sense count? Because if you believe the Brooklyn stuff, I mean, it's pretty damning. I mean, he's essentially saying that his parents are fairly superficial characters. There's no heart beyond or direction or thought that goes above anything. The Beckham brand That is the all-seeing, all-singing, all-dancing, totemic component to their existence, and anything that gets in the way of that is just forget it. It could be seen, I suppose, by some that what he's done is kind of, you know, we've got this image of David Beckham as, you know, this really lovely family guy, and, you know, he's been married. I know they've had a few ups and downs, and that's been made public, but they are, you know, essentially live this beautiful life. They know they're privileged, but they're also quite rooted and earthy. If you shatter that image that we have of them, whether we project it onto them or not, is that defamatory in itself, even if there's not an obvious, certainly an initial loss of earnings, as it were?
It's a very good question. Let's start like this. Brooklyn is 26. He'll be 27 in about 7 weeks' time. He's 26. At the age of 26, David Beckham, born 1975, had been at Manchester United for 10 years, part of a team that had won several Premier League titles, 2 FA Cups, and memorably in 1999, the year they got married, the European trophy.
Yep.
Fantastic final. At the same age, Victoria's a year older. She had been in the Spice Girls for 6 years, the best-selling ever female band. They had done an incredible amount from fairly humble beginnings, his more than hers, by the age that Brooklyn is now. Brooklyn has, as far as I'm aware, and I've had to look this up, I think I knew some of it anyway, he's been briefly a photographer. What else has he done? He's been a model, and he's been a cook. Yeah. That's it. He doesn't seem to have done anything comparable to the achievements of his parents. And now, after 3 years after his wedding, where he complains that his mum hogged the limelight, he writes this pretty bitter post. Does it reflect worse on him or on them? I think I spotted earlier today David at the Davos summit, interviewed on a panel, and he said with a smile, well, children do make mistakes, don't they? To my mind, there is no prospect of him or her suing their son anywhere, even if he's uncomfortable about what his son has said.
Yeah.
It's a theoretical exercise.
Of course it is.
Whether he could sue.
Yeah.
I think I may put your mortgage on it, not mine. I think I'd put your mortgage on him not doing so.
I think you're right. I sense that this won't go anywhere, but it is, I mean, it's made the Harry and Meghan stuff when it comes to inter-family relationships look like a, you know, a basic tiff. A lover's tiff almost. I mean, this does look rather irredeemable based on what he said, and he's then caveated it by saying he's got no intention of reconciling with his mum and dad, which on a human level is just very sad, Ian.
I think it's terrible, and there's a sort of side issue that he appears to have said to his mum and dad, "You can only contact me through my lawyers."
Yeah,
that is sad. And I suspect it won't last. I hope it doesn't. He's got, 2 brothers and a sister, and he seems to have alienated himself from them as well.
Yeah, it's and of course he's got grandparents as well, so, you know, you would think that I don't know whether he's in touch with them. We will see. Ian, thank you for your time. It's always great to get that kind of legal insight in these kind of stories, and Ian Bloom is a media law consultant on that point. I do find it just very sad on a human level that a kid would get to that stage where he will publicly state, I've got no intention of ever reconciling with my parents. Now, of course, kids, he's 26, he's not, you know, he's an adult, but he's their kid. And the idea that it would get to that, so you think, what on earth? How bad would it have to be? Is it just the thinking of a deranged, rudderless 26-year-old? He might have a lovely wife. His wife's family, of course, are billionaires. I mean, they're in a whole different stratosphere, even to the Beckhams. There's no shortage of cash from any direction on this. But what on earth could have been said Or has he just added it all up, peppered on some hyperbole, removed all context, angled it from its worst possible perspective, and then spewed the whole thing out? Because that also happens as well. You know, we're only here for a short time. You avoid falling out with your mum and dad. Like, what it does happen, by the way, and sometimes there's bloody good reason for it, because, you know, you can't pick your families, and some awful examples of why it's understandable. But this just all feels a bit superficial, right?